Psychic, where we like to look at everything skeptically and psychically. Uh, with me today is my miraculous, fabulous, marvelous, and divine, stupendous sister of mine, Kimber Rodriguez.
Hey, how are you this week?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing this week?
I'm doing okay. Glad it's Thursday. Wish it were Friday. So just waiting for the weekend to come.
Wish it was a Sunday because that's my fun day.
I never understood that because Monday you have to go back to work. So shouldn't Saturday be the fun day?
Well, it all depends, because it's like it's always been a manic Monday. Wish it was a Sunday. It
Yes, I
didn't
guess it's
rhyme.
there you
Yeah,
go.
I was gonna say.
Yes.
Also with us tonight, Kimber, would you like to introduce our guest?
Yes. Our guest tonight is Emilia Rivera. And how do you pronounce your other last name?
Darker.
Darker. I'm sorry about that. I should have asked you before we went on.
It's all
Um,
right. I just go by Amelia, like Cher.
yes, there you go. And Amelia is here tonight with us to discuss chakras and how she uses that and incorporates that into her tarot readings as well as
hmm
with healing spiritually and physically. So, you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself tonight?
Sure. So, I'm Amelia. I have been really into the chakra systems probably since I was in high school, I would say. So well over 20 years. And I really have found them quite fascinating that we have these energy systems, which is what um, chakras are. It's Sanskrit for energy wheel or energy circle. I'm not quite sure of the translation, and it's the idea that we have these energy circles inside of us, and when they're all functioning correctly and at the right speed, and they're all balanced with each other, then that's kind of when we find alignment in ourselves, and it helps us enter flow state. And it's usually when your body feels really good and you kind of feel a little invincible, like you can really do anything. It's like when you finally sit down to write that book, when you feel in alignment, you just start going for it. Or if you want to run that marathon. So it's about, even though it's not something you can see or in a tangible level or touch, it is very important for your health, I think, to keep your chakras aligned and open and balanced, because they can either be blocked or they can be over open, over balance on the other side, and that can lead to like if your sacral is overly open, it can lead to like anger management issues, and things like that. Or if your crown chakra is too open, then you're not grounded and you tend to have accidents because you're not really focused on the 3D realm that you're in. So it's really good to keep it all aligned. And the chakras, what I love about them is they're really international. Like, it's not just from the Vedas. It's you find texts about it in India, and you find texts about it in Mexico, and the Himalayas. It's a very internationally accepted idea that we have energy within us that needs to stay aligned and balanced for us to live a healthy, full life.
All right. I just got a quick question here. Uh, were you taught by a leading authority, or were you self-taught when you got into doing chakras?
I think it was sort of self-taught, just an interest in them. And then out of college, my roommate she's a very wonderful tarot reader, and she also was into chakra, so she kind of helped me. I now actually take courses online with this woman, Dr. Athena Parakis, who teaches really wonderful um, crystal healing classes and other modalities of healing. So she's kind of at the moment, like my go-to person that's helping me really elevate. So,
Okay.
Yes. We have
Judy
a
Hall, of course. Sorry.
yes.
The great Judy Hall. You know, I mean, I have probably all of her crystal books, and in them, in the introduction, she talks about chakras in almost every one, and that's kind of, I guess, where that started. So.
We have a comment on Twitch. Poosicle says that you are so beautiful, and they would like to come to your window and play the mandolin and serenade you with the music.
Oh, thank you. I think my husband would object to that, but thank you.
Yes. It's interesting that you mentioned that it's international, because I know most people, when they think of like chakras, they think of like Hindu and Indian cultures. So it's really interesting to find out that it's practiced and known throughout the world as being this this method of, well, energy, I guess you could say, in a sense.
Yeah, just it's accepted, you know, in all languages and texts that that we all have this. So it's important to keep it, you know, it's wonderful. It's kind of like an international language, I guess.
Yes. And I know you mentioned you use the pendulum to read people, and I've experienced that. Um, do you also use any other items, such as your tarot cards or anything else?
Um, I'm trying to use a scanner wand. I don't think it's really it's resonating with me quite as much as I want it to, so I'm still working on that. But I really kind of stick to a pendulum. But you know, when I do a tarot reading, I use chakra cards. So what I like to do when I do a full, you know, what I call like a full tarot reading, like, which is an hour and a half, I will lay out a crystal for each chakra, and I work with a 9 chakra system. There's 114, but there's 7 main ones that are intrapersonal, which are within your body, and then I work with the soul star and the earth star, which are shared with spirit and ancestors. This one's shared with spirit, and the one down below is shared with ancestors. So I'll lay out 9, and then I have the person choose a crystal that resonates with them, and I have them choose a crystal that they're kind of like, and that gives me a nice base reading of where they have a blockage, or where they have an open, active chakra that they, you know, that's doing really well, and where they have a blockage. And then I usually kind of even just start the reading with that. Like if they choose, you know, the green or the pink one, that's usually the heart chakra. And I right away, I'm like, oh, great. You know, you're super open to receiving. You're a very compassionate person. You know, you're always looking out for others, and you're open to receiving help and blah, blah. But then if they choose, like, say they're kind of like, oh, I don't know about this one, to say the clear quartz one, that's usually the crown chakra. I'm like, but the thing is, your spirit guides are trying to talk to you, and you're not, you know, you need to now be open to them. So, you know, you're open to people on the 3D plane. Now it's time to open up to the people on 5, 6, 8, 10D. So,
Right.
and then I do a chakra reading or I do a tarot reading for them.
Well, for the initiative, when you said, what are the 7 main chakras that you do focus on?
So the 7 main ones are, starting from bottom to top, are your root, which is right at your sits bone, I like to say, to keep it PG. Then you have your sacral, which is 2 finger widths below your belly button. And I should tell you, so the root chakra is it's usually red, and it's your grounding center. It's where you feel safe. It's where you find your security. It's where you find your balance. And then the sacral is 2 fingers below your belly button. That's your source of creativity and your inner fire, and that's usually orange. 2 fingers above your belly button is your solar plexus, and that's yellow, and that's your sense of self. That's your, you know, trusting of the unknown, trusting of yourself, you know, believing in yourself, and understanding who you are in the world and how you want to show up, and showing up that way, which is a challenging one for, I mean, me included, for everybody at some point. So that one usually goes out of whack a lot. But, you know, I mean, we're human, so that's part of the human path we're walking. Right. And then right in the middle of your lungs is your heart chakra, and that's how you give and receive love to people, to animals, to your environment, just in general. It's the compassion center. And then right here, and that's green or pink. And then right here is your throat, and that's usually like a medium blue, and that's how you communicate, whether speaking, singing, writing, musically, just however you communicate and bring forth your ideas to the world. So that's a really big one. This one, we all know, is your third eye. And
Yes.
this is usually an indigo. And so that's, of course, your psychic abilities, your ability to see beyond the 3D, things like that. I mean, that's pretty clear. And then right here, right at the tippy top of your head, is usually like a clear or a white, and that is your crown chakra, and that is how you communicate with your higher self and your spirit guides and receive messages and things like that.
Yes. So if you have any one of those blocked, does it also affect like your other chakras?
It can. It definitely can. I have yet to see, now granted, I've only been doing this a handful of years in public outside of family and friends. I have yet to see somebody come in where every chakra is blocked. It's usually one or two are blocked. Like, the heart chakra is blocked because they're having a problem with maybe like a family member, and they're feeling a little unloved, and then their throat chakra is blocked because they don't know how to express it. So then we'll kind of work on that section. Or their third eye is blocked and their sacral is blocked because they really want to do something, but they just can't find the motivation to get up, and then they're also not really tapping into receiving the messages that can help them kind of get up and get moving so that they
Right. Yeah, because I know when you read my chakras and you had said that my third eye was really open, but my root chakras were blocked. So I've always wondered, like, is that causing kind of like a conflict to where my intuitive abilities could be stronger if that root chakra was open, if that makes sense?
Yes, absolutely. Because if your third eye is super open and your root chakra is closed, what happens is you're not balanced. So you're kind of always off in the clouds, and you kind of lose that grounding, and then it actually even gets you to question your abilities because you're like, did I do that? Did I see that? Did I hear that? And but if your root chakra is open and balanced, then you're trusting yourself and you feel safe in your abilities, and you can and that's when you start going, yeah, I did hear that, I totally saw that, absolutely, and then like
Mhm.
you trust yourself and you feel like you're on solid ground.
Okay, interesting. So I know you also teach a class on tarot and chakras. How long does it take on average to learn this art form?
I mean, I don't think you could ever say anyone's fully done for chakras or tarot
Yes.
classes. I think it's ever growing, especially with tarot cards. I know you've talked about it, so I won't go too much into it, but
Mhm.
there's a million different combinations. I'm sure if somebody wanted to do the statistics, there is a finite amount of combinations in a tarot deck. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's upward in the tens of thousands, which
Mhm.
I don't know if I'll ever do tens of thousands of readings to get through every potential combination. And then
Right.
the same with the chakras, because I feel like I'm really guided when I do an alignment. So it's really up to what my spirit guides are telling me, what the patient's spirit guides are telling me, needs to be worked on. So it's really individualistic. So I don't think anyone could ever say, I am the chakra alignment master. I've done them all. So
Right. Right.
Right.
Just talking about the energy flow. Do you feel drained afterwards, or it's full of energy or anything like that? Once you're done with the session.
I used to. I try very, very hard now to stay like open so that it's more of a channeling of the energy. Sort of what one would call like the hollow bone, like I become the hollow bone and I just let spirit guide me, so that when I am done, I have not actually exerted any energy as Emilia. It's all been done through spirit and through our guides and the other person's guides. I mean, I couldn't do like 2 back to back, because I do like to cleanse myself with some white sage and sort of, give myself a minute to regroup. But I luckily no longer feel super drained afterwards. But that's taken its own diligence to kind of bubble myself up to the energy, to not bring it all into my own body.
Right. So would you say that it's good? Because I know people say that it's good also to cleanse beforehand, before doing these things, also to protect yourself from any energies or negative energies that might be brought in. Or so do you also cleanse yourself before and after, or is it just usually after?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you can't oversage, in my opinion.
Sage is your friend.
Huh?
Sage is your friend.
It is. And I mean, I also make sage bundles. I just think sage is an amazing tool that I think we all could benefit from. So I definitely clean myself very thoroughly. I'll clean the whole room in between clients if it's in person, which I haven't done in a while. But I'll clean my computer after a Zoom meeting, just to, really make before and after. Obviously, I clean all my crystals because I do repeat them, which that's okay. And then I open a circle, and I call in my guides and my guardians to protect me and the person that I'm working on, and then I close it after every person, so that it's a new circle of energy. And I sort of envision like a white light around us that keeps that keeps us protected.
Yeah, you don't want basically the negative energies in the circle that you've just opened going into the next client. So that is a good point to close it first and then open a new one.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. Yes. And I was taught that from day one.
Right. Right. And I feel that's important in any kind of work that you're doing when you're working with spirit or energy, because you never know what's coming in with that person, or what's, what you're opening up when you go into that type of, whether it's be tarot reading or chakras or Reiki or anything that you're working with spiritually. Even if you're contacting spirits, I feel like it's always important to do that, to make sure you protect yourself before and you cleanse yourself after, and close that circle, so that way you're not bringing that on to your next client or bringing it into your home or to your life as well.
Absolutely. And then I always ground all the crystals and any tools I use to the floor, to the earth, to just let that,
Right.
Just in case. I mean, I can't be over.
You can't be overprotective once you start working with this type of stuff.
Exactly.
Because you can't see it, so you just have to know. But I trust that it's happening, so I do all these things to overprotect myself.
Exactly. Yes.
Do you prefer yes or no questions or broad questions, like say, is my aura being blocked by something I've done or anything like that in the past, future? Yes or no, or more detailed question.
I mean, it can be any combination. A pendulum, unfortunately, only does yes, no, or maybe. But you can definitely use it as a jumping off board. If someone's like, hey, is this a past life thing or a present thing? You can absolutely use the pendulum to look at that. And then you go into the cards, and, all my cards have, just like they kind of, they all have a chakra assigned to them.
Oh,
of the
okay.
7. So it's
Nice.
really useful when I'm doing tarot readings because it's always kind of a combination of a tarot chakra reading. So if someone asked if it was a past life, I would definitely do the pendulum, probably say yes because most of our problems are past lives. And then start pulling cards to look at it and see, and if say, they all came up blue for throat chakra or majority throat chakra, I'd be like, yeah, so let's look at this. Maybe you had a past life where you were shut down and you weren't allowed to speak your mind, or you weren't, you had opinions that were devalued. And so you've become shy about speaking what you feel is right today in this life. And then we deep dive into that. And then if they want, I could do like a quick, like 5-10 minute, just doing a throat alignment if they want to open that up a little bit more to help them with their communication skills now. Or, I mean, I've never had anything miraculous where all of a sudden they've become a pop singer, but they maybe will finally send that email to somebody, or text the cousin that's been bullying them. So it kind of helps. I like to empower people to be in their flow. I think that's
Right.
what it is.
Yes. I know you had explained to me in the past how the pendulum works, but I don't remember exactly. Could you share that with us? Is exactly how it works, like with a yes, no, and maybe?
Yeah. I think the video. Yeah, we're on the video. So
Yes.
this is
Yes.
my favorite one. It's a clear quartz. It's just a nice basic one. So sorry, I had a little hiking accident.
Oh, goodness.
Oh
It's
no.
okay. So I always just, whenever I have someone, I always let them see it. So I go, okay, please show me yes. Please show me yes. Please show me yes. So you can see when it's yes, it's swinging towards you, towards the camera, right?
Mhm.
Okay, please show me no. Please show me no. Please show me no. Please show me no. So now you can see the no has gone the other way. And then please show me I don't know. Please show me I don't know. And then it goes in a circle. So I always do that first so that they don't think I'm making up the answer.
Right.
And then, so I don't know if you want to ask a question, either one of you.
Rick, you have a question?
Let's see.
I mean, we could even start with something simple as like,
Okay.
is my name Rick?
It's my spiritual guide, DM Greg.
Is his spiritual guide DM Greg? It's saying yes.
Nice to know that my grandfather is just looking out for me.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I mean, it's pretty, it's pretty simple. But I mean, if I was doing like, say, Rick, I was going to see if you would like, I can check your chakras
Okay.
real quick.
Go right ahead.
Sorry to all of those on audio. I'll try and verbalize what happens.
Okay.
So, oh, I've gotten a little tangle here.
Yeah, that's my life. Tangled and
It is?
yes.
Yes.
Oh, dear. This looks so silly. Here we go. Okay. So, same thing, just real quick. Can you see it?
Yes, I can.
Show me yes. Or open. Show me no or blocked. Show me no or blocked. Okay, so now it's the same thing.
Right.
Okay. Is Rick's root chakra open? Is Rick's root chakra open? Yep.
Yes, of course.
Is the sacral chakra open? Oh, yeah. You are on creative fire right now. Like you have got a lot of irons in the fire and a lot of great ideas.
Yes.
Is the solar plexus open?
You don't know.
You don't know. So it feels like maybe a couple of those projects are a little more daunting than you want them to be, and you're not really sure how you're going to go about doing it. And that's creating a little bit of like, should I really be doing that? So it doesn't feel dire, but it feels like a couple of things are a little bigger than you know how to tackle them at the moment.
Right.
And that's okay. Is the heart chakra open? I'm going to say yes, but is the heart chakra open? Yeah.
Yes.
Is the throat chakra open? Be weird if it was no, because we're all talking right now.
Right.
But it's a pretty good yes. How about the third eye? Oh yeah, that was a big
Definitely.
swing. Definitely.
Yes.
And the crown chakra. Oh yeah. So I mean, it seems like you're pretty in alignment, which makes sense because it does feel like you have a lot of things that you're working on, and they're feeling very in flow. Like they're just very easily unfolding, and things are just like, oh, that's exactly what I needed. Oh, thanks, universe. That's exactly what I needed for that. So
Right.
that's wonderful. And that's the goal I try to get to with every client, is to, get them to a place where they just feel like their life is in flow.
All right. Speaking of clients, what do you think? What do you wish the clients would consider before an appointment with you?
I just hope that they come in open-minded and that they will realize that it's usually not a one and done, and that's not me trying to get them to come in. Like they're welcome to come in once, and I'm happy to discuss with them that they could, I'm like, do some breathing exercises when you go home, and it's like, and when you feel that moment of like, oh, like take a deep breath, and yeah, I can do that. Or if you have a solar plexus, a fear of the unknown, just walk right through it. And so it's like me helping balance the chakras and open it up can last a very long time. I mean, I actually have someone that just texted me that we did a session a year and a half ago. And he was just like, I think I need another one. And I was like, I'm so glad the last one lasted a year and a half, like that's the goal.
Yes.
Right.
But it's like, come with an open mind. Don't expect a miracle. It is gonna, it could go out of whack again. It's not a one and done 2-minute thing, like everything's solved for the rest of your life. And understand that you do have to, do some work yourself. But this is just to help you, I guess, begin where you need to at a better position than when you walked in the door or came onto the Zoom call.
Yes. Just out of curiosity, how many people, once they find out what you do, ask for free readings? And how do you handle that? Because I know it's not very ethical for people to be like, oh, give me free service.
It happened a lot more in the beginning, and I kind of would squirm around. I'd be like, oh yeah, sure, when we have time, and then if I was like visiting someone for the weekend, I'd be like, oh well, it's Sunday night and we didn't get to it, and
Right.
so maybe next time.
Yes.
But every now and then, like my mom wants a tarot reading, of course I'm just gonna
Oh yeah, I mean that's mom.
Right.
give her mom.
I
Right.
remember an old joke where the psychiatrist and a doctor are talking at a party, and they're both swapping notes about the how people ask them free advice, that sort of thing. And the psychiatrist's like, doc, I really got this sharp pain in my side. And the doctor looks at him and says, now I know why I hate my mother.
Oh,
Man. I mean, I know, I get it. I think it's because I grew up, my father's an attorney, so he's always getting asked for free
Mhm.
Free
advice.
legal.
I
Right.
learned from him how to circumvent.
Yes.
But I don't mind. I mean, it is good. I will say free readings are not always bad.
Mhm.
It can, especially when you're starting out, it can be good to help build a community, have, people talk about it, like, oh, hey, Emilia did this thing and blah, blah, blah. And so they're not all bad, but yes, if it becomes a consistent thing, or if that's all people want, then that's a little like, oh, come on, guys. But, every now and then there's certain people, if they ask, I'd be like, sure, because I know you're going to tell 10 other people, and then from that I'll probably get a couple paying clients, so it's worth it to me, which is nice. And some of my very old, not old, but like, one of my first few clients now, they all have a little discount code if they want to get readings. So I try and be good, nice to the people that were there for me in the beginning,
Right.
which I think,
Yes.
and it's been, and it helps, and then they get referrals and they get free readings, and it's
Right. It's like the old commercial. I told two friends, and my friends told two friends, and my friends' friends told two friends, and so on and so on and so on.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
I think
So
that was
I don't mind.
AT&T. Yes, I think that was AT&T, wasn't it?
No, it was a shampoo commercial.
Was it? I
Yeah.
don't know. It was too long ago. Yes.
I mean, I remember the thing, but I don't remember the product either.
Right.
So, what else can people do to help bring their chakras back into alignment, such as yoga, meditation?
Yes. No.
Yes, all of it, please.
Yes. Next question. No, absolutely. Yoga is number one. I wish I could say I did yoga on a regular basis. I do not. Should I? Absolutely, I should. Because yoga actually also comes from the same kind of idea of aligning everything, and it is based around the chakras as well.
Mhm.
So doing yoga poses does help keep in alignment, and all the yoga poses, they are actually associated with the different chakras. So even if you're not fully doing it like an experienced yogi, just doing the stretches and the exercises opens up the different energy circles, energy sources. So yoga is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful way to keep your chakras in alignment. Because again, you feel better. Like it's really about your body feeling better, and feeling like it can, function. And you're like, okay, yeah, I got, you're not like, ugh, aches and pains. Meditation is a beautiful way to do it. Listening to solfeggio sounds and hertz frequencies, they all have a chakra aligned to them. Do I have it memorized? No, but like 532 is the heart chakra. So if you want to listen to that, I don't know if you know much about solfeggio sounds, but what's super cool about them is like they've done a lot of tests with them with water, and when they play it in water, the water changes into these really beautiful shapes, and we're made of water.
Right.
Definitely.
So it actually has a very deep effect on us. Again, we can't see it. It's all inside, but it's like they have been able to make it something visual that you can actually see the effect the sounds have on you. And then there's, you can just go on YouTube and just type in, chakra alignment solfeggio sounds, and you'll find all kinds of things and meditations, which I think is really wonderful. Not to be too rated R, but orgasms also.
We're PG-13, so you're good.
Okay. I mean, it's true. It will. It can. So that's very useful. I think any kind of like a salt bath is really good for helping to draw any kind of toxins And it's not necessarily that it aligns it, but it does help remove blockages. So that if you're working, like say you just went and did an alignment and then a couple days later you're feeling off, I would say take an Epsom salt bath. That should help take out just the little tiny bits.
What do you suggest if someone's allergic to salt?
They're allergic to salt. Well,
Yes.
smudge.
Smudge?
I would say some white sage smudge. And if you can't do smoke, everybody makes a spray. Like everybody makes some kind of water-based spray. If you can't do that, if you're allergic to salt, even just a bath is really nice because it kind of suspends you and it gives you that chance to stop using your body in a way so that you can get your alignment back together.
Yes. What is your take on essential oils? Because that's something that I use quite frequently is essential oils for mood, as well as physical, different things like that.
Absolutely. No, oils are wonderful. I think smell can have a lot of impact on you. And I actually use essential oils on the different chakras sometimes. If I usually won't do that on just anybody, it has to be somebody that I know is okay with it because you have to, touch the body and that can be another thing, which is fine.
Right.
But yeah, and definitely, like if you're trying to open the sacral, I would say use some cinnamon or use some neroli oil or something like that. If you're trying to open the crown, get into some jasmine. If you're trying to open up the throat chakra, get a little ylang ylang out or something like that, or even like yarrow, which is actually blue. Which really helps with that. So definitely, I think essential oils can have a lot of impact on the chakras and can also be a good way of doing something at home. If you don't want to have a full session or if you just want to have a quick little tune-up that you can do yourself. And you can even, mix them. I mean, it's almost, you could almost do it intuitively, but I'm sure, if you really wanted to focus on a certain chakra, I'm sure there's essential oils associated with each one. I can't name them all off the top of my head because I don't do a lot of aromatherapy, but I do love it. And I do think that it's a wonderful way of healing yourself and, using your olfactory system, which is an amazing human thing that we can do in the first place. So,
right. I used to work for a physical therapist who also did, she was also a yoga instructor, and she used to have a poster in her office of each chakra and what oils to use with it. And I wish I could remember which ones they were, but I know there was quite a few that she relied on for different chakras and stuff.
I love that. Well, I do use a book. I don't know if I can show it. I'm not trying to promote other people, but I have a book.
Have a book.
And in the book,
well, if you want to show it, I can give credit to the author.
It does go through each chakra, and it gives you like crystals to use, oils to use. It even goes in depth into like which gods or goddesses to focus on. Again, if you can't use oils, if you can't use salts, if you can't use crystals for any reason, or if you just don't have any of them, and you just want to mentally call in that energy, it gives you all kinds of different ways to look at the chakras, and it even gives you like tarot cards to look at if you're into that. So I really think the chakras are very permeating in the world of spiritual healing, energy healing, divination, all the things. I mean, I don't think they stand alone as their own. I think they're everywhere, and I think they're incorporated into just about anything because they're us. They're the energy systems, that we've all had for eons and eons and eons, and I think they're more attached to our soul than our actual human body. If that makes sense. And I think that's why past lives, like you brought up before will carry over because your energy system carries over, if you believe that, which I do.
Right. What are your thoughts on not only past lives, but like our ancestors? Because you know how there's this theory now that a lot of what we carry with us now is brought over from our ancestral line.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like sins of the father type situation is what you're talking about,
Mhm.
Kim.
Yeah, like, my grandfather grew up in the Depression, so he was very he had a problem with scarcity and money. And so now I have that same issue where I'm like worried about money and
Mm-hmm.
there's never enough. But I've never experienced that, but I still have that feeling. And they say that that's through your ancestors.
I definitely think that can be a thing. I don't. I do believe it. I do. What I am actually trying to personally figure out is like, where does that intersect with your past life where that wasn't your lineage? You know what I mean? Like the lineage of Kim Rodriguez is yours alone, but your past life, whatever your last past life was, does not have the same lineage as Kim Rodriguez, right?
Right.
So it's kind of like why I'm kind of struggling with is like, where do the two, how do they meet and intersect, and like what's their
Connection.
what's their intersection?
Okay.
Right.
But I do believe that because we are here and we were born in this time, in this life, in this body, in this family, in this lineage. And so yes, I do think there are some things that have been imprinted. And I think maybe part of it is that family members could have also been involved in a past life. So I feel like maybe that's where the intersection is that you are, reconnected with somebody else because you got something to figure out. And I don't know if like with your father or grandfather living in the Depression, if that necessarily means you have to have a scarcity issue. I think it means you could have one. And if
Right.
you're finding that you've had one, maybe that would be something to examine. But maybe if you're not having one, perhaps it's because your grandfather actually figured out how to make it work with very little, but he figured out how to make it work to the point where he wasn't terrified of having as little money as he did.
Well, he also used to say that during the Depression, he was always the one person that would always find work. Basically, he'd be 10 or 11 years old and be walking down the street with a pocket full of change.
I love it. So yeah, he didn't have that mentality of fear. He figured out how to make it work. But I think, and then in the turn is that you guys figured out, you always figure out how to make it work. And so you don't have a scarcity mentality because you weren't imprinted with that. But going back to the chakras, that is your Earth Star chakra, which is the one deep, deep in the earth. And that's all your ancestral work. So I do believe it is important to acknowledge your lineage and look at it and see what some of the overly used word traumas are, but also the successes.
Yes.
I think everyone focuses on the imprinting of the negative, and I'm like, what about the imprinting of the resilience that we get? And so that's where, again, I would go back if I thought someone had an Earth Star blockage. I would want to focus on like, hey, you know what? Your grandfather's the one that always had change in his pocket. Your grandfather's the one that had the resilience to make it through the Depression with a smile on his face, and like clothes on his back and food on his table. Like that's the kind of thing and that's going to help unblock anything if you do feel like you have a blockage with the ancestor. And I do think it is really important to work with ancestor and your lineage, because I think there is a lot to learn there. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually think it's kind of fascinating, and I think other people's
Yes.
ancestry is really fascinating.
No, yeah, yeah, definitely. That's one of the things that I do find very fascinating, and I'd love to learn more about is like heritage and ancestral. We were all growing up. We were told my great grandfather was half Chiricahua Apache, So I've always been very fascinated by that and proud of that, to say that I have that Indian lineage in my family. So I totally agree with you. I feel like ancestral work is very important, and that we should all know where we come from and where we've been.
And it,
Absolutely.
to me, that also ties in with reincarnation. You know that somehow in our heritage, we may have been not only family members but friends of the family or something like that. That we're kind of circle of life type situation where we've all been somebody's relative.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. So I do think it is important to look at that imprinting, that I know has kind of been a hot topic
Yes.
these days, but I guess I wouldn't over stress about it, because in the end I still have this very strong belief that in the end the only thing that's really core is your soul and the energy that you are as you move along.
So basically, you believe our bodies are meat shields, and the real person inside is the soul.
Yeah, I guess you could put it that way. I mean, but I
Sorry,
still
I
think
didn't
you
mean.
should live your best life. I mean, you are here, don't waste it. I think, and so I guess that's why I do really believe in chakra alignments, because it's like, if we're gonna be here and we're gonna do this thing, and if we're gonna be human and live this life right now, let's take care of it and live it in alignment and with flow, and really like do the best we can, so that
Mm-hmm.
when we move on, we're like, well, you know what, that wasn't that bad.
Right.
Right.
So how should a client feel during and after the session with you?
Hopefully they're just very relaxed. That's usually the word I get afterwards. I go, how do you feel? And they always go, relaxed and ready for a nap. And I'm always like, oh, well, you can stay here for a few minutes. You can't. But luckily on Zoom, I can be like, cool, enjoy your nap. Bye.
Bye.
Right.
Click.
Sleep tight.
Yes.
I'm sure they've taken naps, afterwards. But it it is, it should be, I don't want to say an outer body experience, because it's not. It's actually about kind of back into your body. But
Mm-hmm.
you should feel relaxed. Ideally, if you have any pain, hopefully we've worked on that. If you have like a shoulder and neck pain, that can also be a throat blockage. So, if someone comes in and they're constantly like doing this, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to work on that throat. If they're constantly like rubbing their head here,
Mm-hmm.
it's, probably a third eye. Or if they're constantly rubbing their head back here, it's probably a crown. So I kind of look
Mm-hmm.
at, what they're doing. Or if they come in and they're like, holding their hands over their stomach, I'm like, oh, you have a solar plexus issue.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I try. I'm not a medical person at all, but
Mm-hmm.
I do think the root of a lot of ailments rest in the chakras, and the opening that and balancing that can alleviate a lot of pain. Maybe not 100%, but manageable enough that maybe then they can take it to the 100% on their own.
Yes. Sorry, my husband just walked in, so I'm just letting him know to keep it down. What was I going to say? Oh, it's interesting because I've noticed, like, when we've done the tarot classes with Jason, afterwards I always have a headache, like right in here. It's like that pressure right in there, and I think it's because, like you said, trying to force that third eye open and really focus on it.
Yeah, and that definitely can happen, which it's not a bad thing. I would say just rest it, maybe close it for a minute and bring the energy down to the root. So you're balancing it out, because like we talked about, the light and the dark, it is about the duality, and it is even the balance of just looking at the body. Because if you look at the heart as the middle one, when these three are really, really active, you got to make sure the bottom three are also balanced and engaged. At least they don't have to be super active, but they have to be engaged for your body to find that balance.
Yes. So, you have any other questions, Rick?
Uh, Not really. We've basically did cover just about everything that I was interested in, and I'm sure they covered everything that you were interested in.
Yes. Where can somebody contact you if they do want to schedule a either a remote or a physical alignment or tarot reading?
Well, I'm just doing remote at the moment, but they're more than welcome to email me at theintuitivehealingsanctuary.com. Or they can go to my scheduling website, which is intuitivehealing.as.me. And they can see all of my offerings and sage bundles. I also make, I think they're pretty cool, sage bundles, which I don't have one at my hand to show you.
Oh,
That's
I have
okay.
no idea.
yes. I will definitely share that in our show notes so that people, if they want to contact you and schedule something, they can reach out for you.
Thank you. Well, can I ask you guys a question?
Of
How,
course.
how is your connection with your chakras? I mean, I know we know Rick's are pretty open, but I mean, how is have you guys been involved with that modality a lot, or is it something that's just come up from the last couple of years of doing your podcasts and being more out in the world?
I actually got more into the chakras, like I said, when I worked with my boss, who was a physical therapist, and she did yoga and she was really into the chakras. And I've always known there's an issue with my root chakra because I've always felt like I should be deeper, if that makes sense. I've always felt like I was just at the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have a lot of anxiety issues. And so that's one thing I've always known that I need to work on is trying to get that root chakra. And I know she had me do this test where she said that I was like reversed or something. It was like you put your hands on your chest and close your eyes and you ask a question and it's kind of like a pendulum. You're supposed to sway like one way or the other. It's like you sway forward for yes or backward for no. And I like for me it was like the opposite. When I went to ask like what is my name, it's like is my name this? I went where the no was supposed to be and it's like, well, that's my name. So she said that somehow something was my solar plexus or something was reversed.
Oh,
So I
interesting.
needed to correct that as well.
Hmm.
So
That's a new one on me, but good to know. I'll look into that.
Me, I've been kind of fascinated with it ever since I saw my first poster when I was like 9 or 10 years old of the chakras. Just the man in the lotus position, and going through the the seven chakras throughout the body, and there were a couple of other ones on there that were just kind of it just fascinated me. And
Love that. Oh, good. I'm so glad. Just
yes.
well, I would say, Kim, Ruby is a really good root chakra stabilizer, but it's a very gentle, loving one. So like you could use like black tourmaline, which is a wonderful grounding stone. I think hematite can be a little heavy. It can really kind of like weigh you down, and some people are like, that's a little too strong for me. But a ruby is a really nice root chakra grounding stone, and it also comes, with that compassion, that love and compassion of the red, and so that might be kind of a nice. You can even wear one like as a ring. You don't have to get like a big old chunk.
That's really interesting because my mother's favorite stone is the ruby. And she's a very loving, open person, and she's very connected to nature and the earth. So that's very interesting that you say that because that reminds me a lot of the way she is as a person, and that's being her favorite stone.
I love that. I do try and when I do alignments, I do try and pick different crystals for people, and then I try and I tell them about them. So I don't I don't like to do the rinse and repeat. I think that's very
wash,
boring.
rinse, repeat.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think that's very boring, and it does a disservice to the person because they're an
Right.
individual, so their alignment should be just as individual as they
Right.
are. So
Yeah.
try.
Yes.
Yeah. Alrighty. So
So, do you want to tell everyone where they can find us?
sure, they can find us on Facebook at The Skeptic Psychic. We're also on Twitter. We do have a website, theskepticpsychic.com, where you can contact us, news, views, and if you have any ideas that you would like to for us to talk about, you can reach us at the contact at skepticpsychic.com. Is that correct?
As well, yes, as well as our email, info@Skeptic Psychic.
Psychic.
And we also have our Facebook group where we invite people to come and share their thoughts and ideas as well. And that's also Facebook. I'm sorry, that is on
Yeah, the
Facebook.
Facebook. You're right.
Yes, and that is the Skeptic Psychic also. We also are on Apple Podcast and wherever other podcasts are found. And how do we like to be rated, Rick?
Well, we prefer 5 stars, but we'll take any rating, any stars you give us. And we do like for you, if you say we suck, then we'll work on it. So we like honest, open uh, critiques and 5 stars.
Yes, definitely leave us a review. We do read reviews on air. And
And
yeah,
just to let you know, Poop Sickle did say he wants to fight for your hand in combat with your husband, and he's like, please let him know to expect me for battle soon. I wanted to save that till the end.
He's gonna
yes.
lose. My husband is a rather fit man.
Okay.
Lucky for me. But that's very nice. Thank you. I am glad.
All right. Not a problem.
Well, and I give you guys a 5-star review for the interview. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us.
All right. And as we
Yes.
close, we always like to say that we love you and unpleasant nightmares.
Good night, everybody. Sweet dreams.
Bye bye.
Good night.